Over a decade and a half, dozens of movies, countless streaming shows, and one core story that is supposed to be the tightest ship in Hollywood. But let's be honest, for every massive payoff like the portal scene at Endgame, there's a plot point from 10 movies ago that went literally nowhere. Today, we're looking at the storylines of the MCU that Marvel Studios set up, promised a payoff for, and then completely abandoned. Doctor Strange post-credits. Mordo's transition into Strange's ultimate nemesis was something they ripped right out of the comics. His character is famous for his genocidal, relentless ambition, and it's gone way too far in the comics before. The MCU gave a sympathetic, compelling motive to become a grounded, lethal antagonist.
I will follow this path no longer.
His whole thing was pretty much what he said. There are too many sorcerers, and he's going to do something about it. After aggressively stealing Jonathan Pangborn's magic, Mordo was completely on track for his origin as a villain, and then they totally forgot about it. The MCU's Mordo is never heard from again. We get an alternate universe Illuminati Mordo in Multiverse of Madness, sure, but our main timeline left to hang dry. And the sad thing is, Doctor Strange really needs a rogues gallery, and this would have been one of the best ways to kickstart that. But sadly, it was one more post-credit scene in a string of half-baked storylines that could have been great, but never got to see the light of day again. I think the worst part of all of this for me is that there's a heavy implication that Mordo has already been dealt with by Strange, since in Multiverse of Madness, Strange talks about how his Mordo already tried to kill him.
They're not coming back, and you just cast your vote now to kill your friends.
I know that killing Stephen Strange was your ticket to getting the Sanctum, to becoming Sorcerer Supreme.
Which means that they off-screened him, and that's even worse. What really makes me believe this is that Mordo was actually, in some small way, supposed to be part of Multiverse of Madness.
Mordo was actually the first guy to let me in a countertops.
Oh, great.
And then he snapped and dedicated his life to trying to kill me.
Oh.
Wanda was going to show up with his decapitated head atop Mount Wundagore. Maybe he went after her and realized he bit off more than he could chew? They actually deleted the scene, which honestly sucks. It would have at least been some kind of closure on a hype post-credits. The Extremis virus. In Iron Man 3, the Extremis virus is built up to be this massive threat. It can literally turn people into walking, regenerating super bombs. It was incredibly unstable, causing people to literally explode if their bodies couldn't regulate the heat. But at the very end of the film, Tony Stark casually mentions in a voiceover that he was able to fix Pepper Potts and stabilize the Extremis in her system.
As promised, I got Pepper sorted out. Took some tinkering. But then I thought to myself.
He even uses his newfound understanding of the tech to finally safely remove the shrapnel near his own heart. Think about the massive implications of that. Tony Stark essentially cured human injury. He cracked the code to give people a superhuman healing factor with no fiery side effects. Yet in the subsequent movies, this miracle cure is completely forgotten. When War Machine got paralyzed in Civil War, no Extremis. When Tony gets stabbed by Thanos in Infinity War, no Extremis. The Avengers just go back to taking regular damage. Aside from a blink and you miss a cameo of an underground cage fighter glowing red in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, the MCU completely abandoned the fact that Tony Stark possessed a perfected regenerative serum that could have changed the world. And I get the argument. It's still a pretty risky move. If your body can't handle it, it's practically euthanasia. But this guy invented time travel and created a whole new being from scratch. You really think that if he put his mind to it, he couldn't have figured out how to foolproof Extremis? For somebody who's obsessed with protecting the world, it just doesn't line up. Stolen Pym particles. The first Ant-Man movie ends with a massive world-threatening loose end that the franchise just collectively decided to ignore. During the climax at Pym Technologies, Mitchell Carson stole a vial of Darren Cross's replicated Pym particles. Wait, who even is that guy? Okay, Mitchell is basically a Hydra agent.
Mr. Carson introduced me to these fine gentlemen here, the representatives of Hydra. They're not what they were.
Who used to be a SHIELD operative.
This case is Mitchell Carson, ex-head of defense at SHIELD.
And yes, that Hydra. This one really sucks because Hydra was extremely dangerous with something like the Tesseract. And they almost caused a genocide with the helicarriers. So you honestly could have had a movie alone with the plot being some super Pym particle-powered Hydra weapon of Nazi doom. We could have had another Ant-Man or Captain America movie out of it. I mean, really, or at least a special. But not mentioning it at all? A terrorist cell having access to Pym tech means untraceable assassins, microscopic bombs, and the ability to infiltrate literally any secure facility on the planet. Instead, Carson is never seen again, and no one in the MCU ever bothers to mention the fact that a vial of the most dangerous technological substance on Earth was just successfully stolen by the bad guys. Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings. Yeah, this is one of the most popular ones out there. Let's fast forward to Phase 4, specifically the mid-credits of Shang-Chi. In the Sanctum Sanctorum, Shang-Chi and Wong have a holographic call with Bruce Banner and Captain Marvel. There's only one question on everyone's minds, us viewers and characters alike: what are the 10 rings really? Bruce is easily in the top 10 smartest people on the planet. Carol has years of experience with space stuff. You'd think they know. Upon examining the 10 rings, they discovered 2 massive unsettling facts. The rings are far older than the thousands of years Wenwu had them, and they are actively transmitting a mysterious beacon deep into space. They could be sending that signal to literally anything. Is it a celestial? Is it some long-lost Eternal? Is it a Kang variant? Or maybe it's something else entirely? Whatever's on the other end of that signal is now one of Marvel's biggest mysteries. But instead of a payoff, we just have Shang-Chi sitting in San Francisco with what is essentially a pair of cosmic walkie-talkies. With Marvel now shifting its entire focus toward the multiverse and the rise of Doctor Doom, and then an eventual reset with Secret Wars, this mysterious signal feels less like a looming threat and more like another can of worms that Marvel Studios just doesn't want to open. The Venom cliffhanger. At the very end of Spider-Man No Way Home, the MCU gave us the ultimate tease. Eddie Brock and Venom spent their entire brief vacation on Earth 616 getting drunk at a bar in Mexico and learning about Thanos. Just as they decide to go to New York to find Spider-Man, Doctor Strange's spell kicks in and zaps them back to the Sony universe.
Maybe I should go to New York and speak to this, Spider-Man.
We are drunk. Let's go skinny dip.
I don't think we should skinny dip.
Sir, you have to pay the bill.
What is happening? No, we just got here. No, not again.
Oh.
But the camera lingers on the bar counter. A tiny wriggling piece of the Black Venom symbiote was left behind. That was in 2021. In-universe, it's been years since a literal piece of alien biology was just left sitting next to a margarita glass. Where is it? Did the bartender wipe it up with a dirty rag? Did it bond with a stray dog in Mexico? Did the Department of Damage Control swoop in and confiscate it? This is one of the most frustrating unresolved plot threads because it's a massive, franchise-altering tease that the movies haven't even touched since. Also, I have this feeling that just like they finally made use of the Scorpion teaser from Homecoming, they'll do something with this soon too. Because there's just no way that Secret Wars is coming and we don't get a black suit Spider-Man. Even in the comics, that's one of the most iconic appearances. Eros the Eternal. It's been 5 years since the Eternals movie, which ended with Thena, Makari, and Druig just drifting through space in the Domo, trying to figure out how to rescue their friends who were just dragged into a black hole by a giant space god. Suddenly, a portal opens and out steps Pip the Troll, introducing none other than Eros, the Prince of Titan, and the brother of Thanos.
The Royal Prince of Titan, brother of Thanos.
Now, there are 2 things I didn't see coming: that Thanos would have a brother, and that he would be played by Harry Styles. I really hope they explain the size difference between the 2 of them eventually. But more importantly, Eros pulls out a celestial communication sphere and tells the surviving Eternals that he knows exactly where their friends are, and that he is there to help. It was a massive mid-credit scene setting up a cosmic rescue mission, which I think was going to be the plot of the second Eternals, and we haven't heard anything since. I'm still holding out hope for this one, because when we do eventually get the second Eternals, I expect this to be answered. But that was a lot of exposition in one mid-credit scene. I wonder what Thanos' brother thinks of his universal murder spree. Another incursion. Speaking of recent cliffhangers, the biggest one is from Multiverse of Madness. Doctor Strange is just walking down the street in New York, and out of nowhere, this random magic user pops up, announces herself as Clea, rips a literal hole in reality to another dimension, and tells Strange that his multiverse hopping has caused an incursion. You guys know what those are, but if you don't, it's basically where 2 universes collide and destroy either one or both of the universes.
Incursion?
An incursion occurs when the boundary between 2 universes erodes and they collide, destroying one or both entirely.
You see, though, the most interesting part is that she asks him if he's ready to fix it.
You caused an incursion, and we're gonna fix it.
That implies that Clea knows a way to stop incursions. What else could fixing it mean? This isn't just a cliffhanger, because if I'm right, it is literally very relevant to Doomsday, which is seemingly all about incursions. It was presented as an immediate universe-ending emergency, but after 4 years, we haven't heard anything from Doctor Strange or even any follow-up on this in a separate credit scene somewhere. Since that cliffhanger, the MCU has given us an entire season of Loki dedicated to fixing the multiverse set in the TVA, which exists outside of time, so it's not like they couldn't have given us a sneak peek into Strange's activities. Also, did I mention that Strange now has a third eye? Is this a power boost, Darkhold corruption, or something completely new? It's one of the most loaded credit scenes, and I, for one, cannot wait to see where they go with this, assuming they do. Please, Marvel, do something with this. Hercules. Thor Love and Thunder gave us more than a sneak peek at the Greek pantheon. We saw Zeus, omnipotent city, and Thor running a lightning bolt through Zeus's chest, which he managed to survive. After the film's explosive ending, we get to see how Zeus is taking the loss, licking his wounds and ranting about how mortals don't fear the gods anymore.
Now, they look to the sky. They don't ask us for lightning. They don't ask us for rain. They just want to see one of their so-called superheroes.
Zeus calls upon his son to hunt Thor down. And who is that? Well, it's not Kratos. We instead get the tease that Hercules is now bent on vengeance against Thor, and it was a huge reveal that potentially set up a literal battle of the gods for Thor's next movie. But we still don't have a single sign of him, and Thor seems to be fine and alive if he's returning in Doomsday. So if something did happen in the time between Love and Thunder and Doomsday, then it clearly didn't end well for Hercules. Right now, we know next to nothing about the Lion of Olympus, or how powerful he even is. Because Thor isn't operating solo anymore. He also has Love by his side, and Zeus was an easy enough match for him, so how is his son going to fare? These are all questions that set up a brand new villain, and right now, we don't have any answers. The Prowler. Let's go back to 2017 with Spider-Man Homecoming. We meet a low-level criminal named Aaron Davis, played by Donald Glover, who, by the way, is phenomenal casting. Anyway, he's trying to buy these high-tech weapons from the Vulture's crew. During an interrogation with Spider-Man, Davis mentions that he doesn't want those weapons in the neighborhood because he has a nephew who lives nearby.
I don't want those weapons in this neighborhood. I got a nephew who lives here.
Who is obviously Miles Morales. For comic fans, this was a massive tease. In the comics, Aaron Davis is the Prowler, and if you guys have watched Spider-Verse, you know all about this guy. This wasn't just an Easter egg, it was direct, verbal confirmation that Miles Morales does in fact exist in the MCU. It sets the stage for a Spider-Man 2 style Miles and Peter team-up story, or a passing of the torch at the end of, Spider-Man 5 or something. But here's the thing, nearly a decade later, forget one frame, we never heard of Aaron Davis or Miles Morales again. And I mean, sure, we haven't really had reason to, but Aaron could have at least returned as the Prowler. Miles Morales himself has become a global sensation thanks to the Spider-Verse movies and the Insomniac games, and the next natural progression of his character felt like it was going to be an MCU tie-in, or at least another mention developing him. But as of now, he is just another kid somewhere in Brooklyn who hasn't gotten any development in almost 10 years. It's honestly kind of concerning just how many stories were on the verge of bubbling into something greater, but because Marvel didn't follow through, they just exist as what-ifs now. And I guess that comes with being such a huge interconnected franchise over decades of films. But the nerd in me just desperately wants to see Black Suit Spidey, or a follow-up on the Eternals, or even just any piece of lore from Miles' side of things.